Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at what are their potential actions towards you. There are three groups to choose from. Group one is this clear quartz heart, along with these cards. Group two is this amethyst point, along with these cards. And group three is this little chunk of selenite, along with these cards. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I have just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So I'll give you a minute, please use the timestamps, and then we'll get into your reading. Hi, group one. You chose the clear quartz heart, along with these cards, which I will start with to get a feel for what are their potential actions towards you. So we've got the Three of Cups, Temperance, Queen of Wands, Two of Swords, follow your vision, never lose sight of what is really important, come to life, guidance, and jewel within a teardrop, appreciation, spiritual and emotional reconnection. So this is a really beautiful energy with temperance. This looks like a person that You may have been waiting for their return, for some kind of an action, for some kind of forward momentum in this situation for quite some time. This has really been a test of your patience. This has been something, this experience with this person has really required you to kind of go inward, to really start to understand through personal experience the meaning of divine timing. You may have gone through periods where you were almost trying to will this person to return to you, maybe even for a period of time, reaching out to them repetitively, maybe sending them texts, sending them messages that they were ignoring. Maybe they were reading these things and just not responding to you. And so for a while, there could have been kind of an imbalance in that energy, a lack of reciprocity, and maybe just a lot of effort or focus. Even if this is something where you weren't reaching out, something where you were investing a lot of thought in this person for quite some time, and you just sort of reached this point, this awareness, this period of recognition that it was time to kind of pull back your energy, to redirect your focus on something else, that whatever sort of method or approach that you might have been using with this person previously was really not getting anywhere. And it really feels that action to redirect that focus within, to start to fill your own cup, rather than, really extending that energy out, imploring this person to respond to you, to react to you, to return to you. That kind of method of sort of this self-sustaining process, this self-soothing, this self-nurturing has really been a pivotal moment in this connection, in the way that this person is even perceiving your energy. They're really recognizing you as somebody with the Queen of Wands, that you're knowing your worth, you're standing in your power, you've come to some kind of balance within yourself as well. Again, some of maybe that more shadowy energy, that dense energy, that kind of fear-based energy where you were projecting a lot onto them, a lot of expectations, almost pleading with this person, begging this person, maybe not literally, although for some of you perhaps, literally just very frantic in what you were, imploring them, trying to get their attention, trying to get them to respond or to react or to say something. But even just energetically, kind of this energy of just, again, projecting more than you were receiving back at some period of time, that you've come to this place of self-mastery with that, where again, that focus has been redirected within yourself. You've maybe recognized some patterns of codependency in yourself that were maybe triggered by this situation, maybe almost a fear of abandonment or kind of a lack mentality that might have really been the impetus for kind of that over projection of energy in this person's direction previously. And again, sort of knowing your worth, recognizing your value, stepping into that place of power, taking your power back from the situation, even a mindset, a perspective about this circumstance with this person that has really opened the door to an energetic shift between the two of you. With the lions here also on this card, I'm reminded of the Lion's Gate portal, which peaks on August 8th. And although this is a timeless reading, when I'm recording this on July 28th, we are definitely coming up on that time period. So that can be significant for some of you in terms of maybe hearing from this person, some kind of a shift in the energy between the both of you, something that's really been stuck or blocked in the situation, even clarity that is coming to you if you haven't yet crossed that pivot point of projecting more onto this person, infusing this connection with more sort of energy and attention than you're receiving back, then this can really symbolize that shift, that turning point for you is right, at this time period. Or that Lion's Gate, maybe the early part of August, kind of end of July, that some kind of an epiphany, some kind of an awareness will happen. And again, through that very action, whether you've taken it previously or you're kind of at the precipice of making that decision, redirecting that focus onto self, it does do something to alleviate a degree of pressure that this that dynamic, that kind of dynamic of imbalance had really been the ways in which that had been felt by this person. Almost the sense of somebody who could have been a runner, but felt very energetically pushed to do that. They almost felt like they were being pursued, even if you weren't directly, reaching out to them, just overly focusing on this connection, overly focusing on this person, really kind of worrying and almost obsessing about when is something going to shift, when is something going to change, when are they going to see the light, when are they going to return. And just that questioning and almost this energy of kind of demanding or over seeking answers, instead of being in that space of open to receive when it is meant to come in the manner in which it's meant to come in for you. That change, that shift that occurs or has occurred, it takes some of that focus off of this, which is then energetically perceived as kind of this momentum that has been almost pushing this person forward. Not to say that their actions are, in any way a fault of you expressing interest, but it's just energetically it might be something that this person is just kind of subtly perceiving. And almost when you redirect that focus on yourself, then that alleviates and sort of lifts that energy, and that almost gives the person then this opportunity to sort of stop that running and to take a look around and realize, what were they fleeing from? What were they trying to evade? What were they moving away from? A lot of that even, projections and fears within themselves, fears of being trapped or swallowed up by a relationship that could have really been triggered. Some shadows that they are needing to then kind of balance out and work on in themselves. Kind of where does that stem from? Kind of that inability to really open up, or maybe a lack of experience that they've had in kind of a healthy and reciprocal love in the past, and something that needs to be healed from that, to where when healthy love is offered to them, their instinct was to just push it away or to run from that. So a major energetic shift happening here, a lot of internal work on the two of you that has either taken place already up to this point in time or is right at this precipice of change. Kind of this alleviation of a certain degree of pressure that again allows you to both sort of go inside, balance these kind of shadows, do some emotional healing, some emotional work, recognizing triggers and wounds, and seeking to kind of come to terms with these things, to neutralize these things. And this is definitely here with the Three of Cups. This is a card of kind of reunion, a card of coming together, a card of in some way the two of you really colluding energetically, being in a space where you're allowing each other to really work on the things that you need to work on individually, but then supporting one another from the higher realms in that very important work of self. The energy of somebody who might have been very confused, very blocked off in terms of what they wanted, in terms of the ways in which they were able to even conceptualize a future with you, maybe the vision that they had of what happiness would look like and what partnership would look like, in the ways in which this connection, maybe the circumstances of how you met, or even the nature of your approach with this person, the ways in which you've responded to this person, or even with this blindfold here on this crow, the ways in which this person really almost experienced the sense of vulnerability, really the fact of being perceived, being seen beyond any kind of masks or personas or projections that they have, carefully put in place and have presented to the world. And while that can be very enticing to feel so known, so understood, it can also again bring up this sense of vulnerability and being, really exposed, really nowhere to hide, where, they may have been very accustomed in the past to kind of residing again behind that mask or that facade. So something is really illuminated for this person due to that kind of shift, due to this expanse that you have almost gifted them through a redirection of your focus. This person is now kind of in this space of quiet within themselves. They're able to really address some of these shadows within themselves, to do some of that deep shadow work, and to kind of paint a different picture for themselves of what they envision their life to be. A reimagining of who they are, a way in which they've been able to kind of understand this connection and the energy differently, as opposed to something that would have been limiting or lacking. This person is able to really start to feel and to understand the vibrance and the possibility there. There's a sense of recognition coming in from this person as well, that you are kindred spirits, that you are soulmates, that you are part of each other's soul tribe, that there are lessons that you both have really kind of contracted with each other to teach each other, to trigger within each other in this lifetime. So a new perspective is happening for this person, where they may have been, again, sort of that idea of feeling this energetic pressure and running, and then the shift in your focus helps to take some of that pressure off, and then they're really left to examine what have they been running from. That being almost like the mouth of a rabbit hole that they are then going into, aspects of themselves that they have been running from, that they were maybe projecting out onto others, onto circumstances. Somebody who is starting to accept responsibility rather than project blame. With this reference here about jewel within a teardrop, there could be a lot of catharsis that is happening, a lot of tears that have been shed, a lot of tears that this person has been holding inside, that the circumstances between the both of you maybe triggered some of these wounds, and through the time and space that this person has been gifted by you directing your focus, it has allowed them to really sit with these feelings that have come up. Almost that saying of you have to feel it to heal it. And this person really starting to extract the nectar of wisdom out of what they have experienced in terms of disappointments in the past, in terms of blockages to love in the past, in terms of distortions in the past. With this guidance card here, kind of in that energy of the silence, of the tranquility, of the space that they have. They might be connecting with their higher self, with their guides, kind of tapping into that spiritual self, getting downloads, getting inspiration, getting signs, being energetically supported not only by their spirit team and whatever they resonate with in terms of deity, angels, passed on loved ones, just any kind of energetic support they have in that sort of etheric sense. But I feel also at the higher self level, the two of you, again, this energy of sort of supporting one another, working in tandem with one another, at this kind of this work of sort of that internal getting to know oneself, coming to terms with sort of the shadows, the triggers, the hopes, the dreams, really getting to, experience that emotional body, looking in the mirror, learning to accept what it is that both of you have found, what you see, not turning away from these things, but in some way trying to incorporate that into the fabric of who you are, both kind of the light and shadow aspects of self. And so this is something where, again, really having that kind of energetic support from the higher realms that this person is really starting to become more acutely aware of. This feels like somebody who's kind of entered into that period of silence. They may also be getting some kind of nudges, some kind of signs that the time is approaching, maybe close to this Lionsgate portal, or again, this is a timeless reading. So this can just, if it's beyond, a time other than the month of August or early August or late July when you're watching this, this can just really refer to kind of in the near future for you, that these signs are going to start either coming in for this person to kind of take some action in this circumstance, maybe deliver some kind of a truth, have that conversation that they had been avoiding for quite some time. It also seems like a conversation with themselves is taking place. Again, with that blindfold, this is kind of that internal dialogue, somebody who's in this process of kind of rewriting that narrative, rewriting that script for themselves. And so a shift and a change, this person may be reaching out, or even in kind of, I'm feeling really in the energetic sense, you might sense that shift with them. There can be almost an element of telepathy that increases between the both of you, sort of the shift where you're feeling almost like an energy that, is very blocked or at a distance from you. You're starting to feel it nearing. You're starting to feel that tide has turned, that now their attention is being redirected to this. The more this person is really digging deep within self, the more then that focus and that perspective is shifting about the circumstances with you. With this image here also of the wolves, this is really bringing to mind kind of this idea of sort of being in this wilderness, this very dense area, this foresty area, almost like, digging deep within their heart, learning the truth of their core that they may have been avoiding and running from for some time. And this person really reaching this point of being very comfortable in that space, being very comfortable, in these emotional waters. And coming to that point where they're almost crying out for you then. They're almost crying out for that resonant soul, crying out for their soul tribe, crying out for those kindred spirits. And when this call happens, this is something where, you're picking up on that. Your soul is perceiving that. You might have some kind of an indication, a sign, sort of an intuitive nudge that this person has really turned a page within themselves. Something has awakened, something has blossomed within this person. They've tapped more into their rawness, into their truth, into their authenticity, and they're now able to meet you kind of with all those masks and all those facades, largely having been cast aside. They're able to meet you in their more kind of genuine nature. These images of the wolf almost brings to mind also kind of this energy of shape-shifting as well. So, possibly even this transformation occurring within this person is really going to result in a transformation of the potential between the both of you, in the ways in which this person approaches you. Again, vocalization being a big thing here. So maybe even the nature and depth of conversations they are willing to get into, the truth which they have extracted and are extracting from themselves is allowing them the ability to communicate in a different way, in a more concise way. In some way, you two really being on the same page, finally, in a certain capacity. And this can even be, something small where they're just able to they're willing to open up the lines of conversation, to get to know you on a friend level again, to start small, to build things gradually, something maybe again with this Three of Cups, kind of like friendship, something really casual, something where you start to get to know each other. You start to really enjoy time in each other's presence. And this doesn't necessarily mean jumping right back into romance. Or if this is a situation where, it's kind of a false start, it never really ascended beyond friendship in the past. This can be, and they kind of moved away and just sort of, left that opportunity hanging, almost like a missed opportunity. This feels like somebody who is going to want to restart, going to want to pick up where you left off, to invest more emotionally in this. Kind of with this widened perspective they have of themselves, it also is opening them up to a wider perspective of what is possible in this situation. And we also have here with the spiritual and emotional reconnection, this can definitely, again, be that confirmation of sort of the telepathy that increases between the both of you as kind of a precursor, maybe to action in the 3D sense. But for those of you where this person then is reaching out or is making some kind of communication, maybe communication is blocked between the both of you, and they unblock that, they reach out, or it's something where they're finally responding to something that you sent that they had just hesitated about, that they had not acknowledged. Maybe that acknowledgement comes in finally, almost like this long awaited sort of response from them. And it feels very much to be of an emotional nature. It feels very much to be like something where tears can be shed on one or both your parts upon sort of this commencing of the connection once again. And that can be literal tears, literal expressions of tears, or almost this sense of your heart's kind of bursting forth, and these tears of joy that are happening, this resonance when you reconnect in that very tangible way, even just starting off in a friendship sense, that resonance is going to help to encourage this person to continue to open up emotionally. This is somebody who feels like they very much have, in a large degree, evolved to a way of being very in touch with their emotions, being very in touch with their intuitive nudges and guidance, somebody who's relying upon that, somebody who's really kind of mastered the ego and fears to a large degree. And so kind of the sensation that happens even through these very kind of casual and just sort of surface level, maybe conversations that you're starting off at, just kind of warming up to each other's energy once again. This person's going to get these intuitive hits. They're going to get those goosebumps. They're going to get that, those kind of ripples, or that sense of knowing that, that this is safe, this is right, this feeling of peace, this feeling of belonging, this feeling of having made the right choice to invest more fully into this connection in some capacity than they had previously. So I'm going to get a few messages from this person's higher self for you, group one. See, what do they want to tell you? Okay, and we have I feel your energy with me. So that's a confirmation right there of, this bond between the both of you, despite any kind of separation, any sort of period of being blocked off, this sort of internal process of awakening and becoming that this person is going through. And the two of you really supporting each other through that process. Kind of with this idea also of come to life, sort of reawakening, the rebirthing process out of a period of what has fallen away, what is no longer, kind of this energy of things being maybe very dormant between the both of you on the surface, but energetically in the subtle realms, there's still very much a vibrant and persistent connection between the both of you. It's very much alive. It's very much fluid. There's a lot of changes that are happening internally within the both of you that are really supported and fostered through this sort of energy exchange, even while in the 3D sense, contact may be limited or non-existent at this point in time. And they also say, you light my fire. So they're definitely compelled to move back towards you. This knowledge of self has gifted them the ability to see this connection with fresh eyes. And they're very much drawn to almost sharing the things that they have learned about themselves, very almost excited, eager, kind of this idea of a beginner's mind, this kind of innocent energy of really maybe starting to appreciate things that you had said previously to them, little seeds that were planted that have now germinated. Maybe it's ideas about spirituality that, were kind of not really part of their wheelhouse before, but is something that it's a part of themselves that is awakened, that they've really stepped into. Maybe they've cultivated a deeper relationship with spirit, some kind of meditative practice, really creating that temple inside, that garden within them, tending to that meticulously and coming to this place of peace where they are recognizing that similar garden within you that you have been working on. And so somebody who is, very excited to come and share that with you, very excited to see what can develop out of this connection based on this evolution that has happened individually. And they also say, you've made me want to be a better person. So again, that energy of really inspiring each other from afar. Maybe this person has, been able to kind of watch some kind of a personal transformation, a glow up, a rebirthing process that you have gone through. And that's really been an inspiration to them to continue with this work within themselves. If they're, not really able to watch you, maybe you don't have social media or, again, communication's totally blocked off, and in the 3D sense they may have been very closed down to this. Energetically and from the higher self sense, they're really perceiving and picking up on kind of the development of your energy, the redirection of your focus as well back onto self, that has gifted this person the time and space to do that work as well, to really invest in themselves, really get to know themselves, to love themselves, honor themselves, find out their emotional needs and nurture those things, sort of self-soothe, provide for themselves emotionally as best as they can, so that when they are able to, step forth in a reconnection with you or even other dynamics in their life, other, friendships, relationships with their family, they're coming from a place of wholeness and balance within themselves, as opposed to any kind of neediness or projecting onto others that their needs must be fulfilled through those interactions, through kind of finding that those exterior things to sort of fill these spaces within them that really can only appropriately be filled by that love that is generated from within. Okay, and we have I view your profile page, but not in a creepy way. So there's confirmation of this person definitely watching you in some capacity, maybe literally on social media, checking things out, kind of being that spectator as your life develops, as you have really stepped into, your power, into your sense of self. You've really taken control of your own healing journey and have blossomed in some beautiful ways. And for those of you that, again, don't have social media, or even if you do, if it's just, not everyone's going to be looking each other, up online and following each other. But this is somebody that, at the very minimum might have at least typed your name into Google once or twice to try and find out what you're up to, even if it kind of came up with some dead ends. There's this curiosity because they've sensed this energetic shift within you. They're almost leaning more into these thoughts as they're starting to really see this connection from a different perspective in a way that is sort of tapping into. That's an observation of the energy, of really seeing things from a different perspective, recognizing different facets of who you are energetically, who you are at the soul level that might have been clouded or overlooked by purely this kind of ego-driven focus that they might have been in previously. And they also say, I was afraid of what others might think. So there could have definitely been some extreme differences between the both of you, maybe an age difference, a difference in culture and religion and lifestyles and belief systems, and even kind of your ideas about love and partnership. And this almost feels also kind of this invitation, this triggering, this sense that this person had in a very subtle way, that the connection between the both of you was meant to unlock some kind of a door within them, a door to personal healing and happiness, a door to self-awareness, a door to, a version of themselves falling away so that, a new and more authentic version was able to then be born, was able to kind of come forth into the world. And so that process of transformation, kind of stepping into that window of opportunity and not knowing what exactly it would entail, not being sure what waited on the other side of that, but knowing it would be different from what they had experienced before, even in love, or some kind of an internal sense of knowing that on a personal level, on kind of a psychic level, on a spiritual level, on an etheric level, that there was, change in the air through this circumstance, through this connection. And it could have been something where, they were really, again, sort of afraid to kind of step outside the box, afraid to kind of deviate or kind of diverge away from a path that they had been walking, from maybe, choices and focus that is different from the people around them. This sense of really hearing that call, but avoiding that call for change. And it's kind of that redirection of focus that you have done. It has really allowed this person kind of this sense of ease, to not feel pressured to act, but then it becomes almost a choice, a decision. There's some autonomy, there's some control in their hands to, really turn and look in the mirror, really turn and face some of those shadows, really do some of that deep excavation within self, to really be able to sift through what is a projection, what is their authenticity, what resonates with them, what no longer fits, what do they want from their life going forward, and what are the steps necessary to achieve that. Learning to kind of disconnect as well with any sort of energies of people pleasing, of codependency, being very reliant on other people for their sense of self, their sense of worth, kind of measuring their value based on what other people think of them, or what other people deem as valuable qualities of a person, or of love, or the nature of relationship and connection. So this is really somebody who's, again, kind of breaking away from the herd and establishing themselves, finding out who they really are, coming into that space of balance within self, and definitely a transformed and almost upgraded version of this person that is getting ready to, even at the minimum, make some kind of an energetic reemergence in your life in the near future. And they also say the idea of forever still freaks me out. So these shifts and changes are a work in progress. It's almost like the onion with layers and layers that, need to be peeled back. Kind of that first step that was taken on that journey to self. It's almost like the spiral, the eternal journey within. As much as this person may get to the point of feeling that they know themselves, they have themselves figured out, other triggers, other aspects of fears, other kind of layers of all of that come to the surface at unexpected times. So, they might be hesitating a little bit as far as feeling very compelled, seeing these signs and nudges to move back in your direction, to reach out, to maybe even restart just a friendship. And it's something where, they're leaning towards that only to kind of hesitate, kind of hover away. So that kind of fits in with this idea of you might energetically feel a shift. The telepathy might increase. You might experience them almost like waves of the ocean, kind of this ebb and flow, this warmth and this cold, but at least it's a fluidity where previously it may have just been very kind of stark, very still, very firm and stubborn, and there's movement that's happening. So I'm going to get some guidance for you now, group 1, about this situation. Okay, so we have kick up your heels. So this is definitely advising you to really be grateful for kind of the harsh lessons that and the opportunity to really get to know yourself, really get to discover yourself, and bring that best version of self up from kind of the depths of your subconscious, from where it had been hidden and dormant within you. That the difficulties that you've gone through, the trials and tribulations at this circumstance, the situation with this person, the frustrations, the confusion, feeling energetically one thing and then seeing something very different, or a lack of that displayed in the 3D sense. That this has really been an important lesson, again, in patience and in trusting in divine timing. It's been almost a catalyst or a mechanism for you really going on that journey of self, that discovery of self. Bringing that best version of self to the surface. And so this is really advising you to kind of applaud yourself for all the work that you've done. To also recognize as well, with this idea of kick up your heels, it's again surrendering to that divine timing, allowing this person the time and space. If you haven't already redirected that focus within, focus on kind of cultivating your own garden, then that's, advice to really do that. And, that's kind of the greatest thing that you can do for this connection. Almost helping yourself helps this person. It really helps them to help themselves. So it's something where, again, kind of that focus on your own abundance, on kind of tending these emotional waters within yourself, any kind of fears and disappointments, any kind of longing, really tending to these things, acknowledging these things, catharsis in whatever way is necessary or possible, or you feel called to do. Maybe it's shedding tears. Maybe it's no longer shedding tears and instead, finding some kind of an artistic outlet. Maybe it's, doing something like working out, or reaching out and helping other people to kind of navigate this process and this journey within themselves. There's treasure to be found. There's bounty to be found. Even as we saw here with this, a jewel within a teardrop, that the difficulties you've experienced with this person, it feels like something that you both, you agreed prior to this incarnation to kind of trigger these things and to have this sort of very unique and intense experience that then sort of led you into this journey within self to really uncover the most magnificent version of self, to bring that forth, supporting each other in an etheric sense, but a lot of this, really being work that needed to be done on one's own. So that by achieving that sense of kind of wholeness and balance within, you are able to then meet each other in a whole and balanced way. Okay, and then we also have Air Dragon, helps you rise above earthly matters, communicate honestly, brings inspiration and hope, see life from a higher perspective. So that is, again, that guidance to kind of reframe your thinking about the situation with this person, the time that it's taking for them to make these shifts and changes, the time that, it's taking to see any kind of a difference in the, them maybe feeling energetically that they're going to reach out and not really seeing any kind of measurable movement in an earthly sense about that. This is definitely also with that reference to air that can tie into telepathy. So this can be that kind of nudge to, you know, send this person loving thoughts, send this person words of encouragement from afar. Just because, you know, you're not having that face-to-face 3D conversation, you can still communicate in other ways. Even when you're not consciously aware of it, your higher selves are really communicating with one another on a constant basis. And there's also these little bluebirds in this card here, and those are you know, kind of these emblems of independence and joy. So coupled with this kick up your heels, this definitely feels like some guidance here that, you know, there's a breakthrough at hand in this situation. Communication in some way, maybe it's even just resuming the telepathy, or for others of you this will be somebody who reaches out, maybe just kind of reinstigates those bonds of friendship first, to kind of build upon that foundation before you kind of open up to sort of the deeper layers and different definitions of love that can be possible in this circumstance. But it definitely feels like something where, as much as possible, try to focus on you know, your own joy, your own abundance, on things that really make you feel uplifted. You know, not putting your life on hold, but keeping that kernel of hope alive within you, that seed of hope, because change can happen, and it can happen in very unexpected ways, in very pleasant ways, in very beautiful ways. And it feels like change in some capacity has, you know, occurred within you. It's occurring within you. It's occurring within this person. And this definitely reinforces this idea of as within, so without. The changes that happen within definitely set the stage for different series of experiences between each other in the outside world. So again, with these birds here, and they are, you know, messengers, that's emblematic of communication. And as it says here, communicate honestly. So for a lot of you, this can also be that extra confirmation that you may be hearing from this person in the near future. Either a long overdue response to something you said, or this person may be unblocking communication, being willing to communicate, or just opening up to a deeper level of communication. If you still are sort of talking to them every once in a while, there might be, you know, kind of this unfolding, this deepening of the layer and the nature of what it is that you are speaking about. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 1, this could be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got H, I, R, O, Q, G, M, A, W, and Z. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry and some divination tools in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Amethyst point along with these cards, which I will take a look at now to get a feel for what are their potential actions towards you. So we've got the Three of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles, the Magician, the Tower, a new strategy is required. Find the path to love and happiness. Release the dark wound. Let love live. Spiritual quest. And liberation, breaking free from a negative attachment. So, with two cards here talking about release, this could be a situation where communication is blocked. This person has been very resistant, energetically closed off to receiving what you have to give, to hearing you out, someone who may have been very stubborn and almost this idea of their energy turned the other way. They've turned their back to this situation. Something really giving way with that. The Tower, this could be very unexpected. Kind of a feeling, a sense almost energetically of this pressure being lifted off the situation. Something to where, you know, you're going to be able to really sense that kind of that change in the wind, that change in direction, almost like this idea of before sort of a rainstorm, and there can be that barometric pressure, that buildup, that tension in the molecules in the atmosphere that is kind of that precursor to, you know, the deluge, to the rain, to, you know, that expression, that washing away, that kind of breakthrough energy. And that feels very much like what is happening in this circumstance, something where because of how energetically tied to them you are, you could really be sensing this, perceiving this, feeling that something is about to give. Kind of this energy of, you know, no longer being able to kind of push this away, to, you know, turn away from their feelings. Maybe even other circumstances that have taken place in this person's life, things that they've been working on. Maybe some things that have crumbled away, that have fallen away with the Tower here, some kind of dark night of the soul that they were on, this spiritual quest, this journey inward. Maybe this person told you that, you know, they still needed to find themselves. They you know, needed to discover something, or they were looking for something, they weren't sure what it was, that they needed to just kind of figure things out, needed time by themselves to just kind of process everything. They weren't ready for commitment. The time wasn't right. That's something where, you know, a choice was made to focus on other things, maybe with this Pentacles energy, career, or just sort of sorting things out in the material world as far as what do they want for themselves, what really resonates for them. With this idea of spiritual quest and Tower, really this idea of a spiritual awakening, some kind of Kundalini activation that has maybe taken place in the past in this connection that, you know, it's very overwhelming for the both of you. And this person could have really tried to push this away, tried to deny this, tried to really run from this, kind of going into their shell in order to sort of process these changes, these shifts and these upgrades energetically and in their life in a very kind of personal way. This could be somebody that is not really used to expressing their feelings in a healthy, dynamic manner. Somebody who's really used to having to shoulder a lot of burdens and responsibilities themselves. Somebody who could have really been sort of taught through their family of origin, or kind of enculturated with this idea that to show feelings is a sign of weakness, and that these things must be kind of bottled up or suppressed in order to have kind of a successful life, or as a display of strength. or as a desirable quality. And so kind of almost the deep emotional quality and nature of this connection, and sort of these feelings, these urges that were brought up for this person from kind of the subconscious to the surface within them. Maybe a lot of wounds as well surrounding love and the nature of relationships and emotions in general, that these are things that they've needed to really work on privately. And this is something where, as much as they may have tried to avoid that, it feels that something has really shifted. They've had no choice but to go within. A lot of things crumbling away, maybe kind of a loss of even job opportunities or stability in some sense, where they now have all this time. They've had to kind of take this opportunity to search within, to really find out what do they want to create moving forward. Whatever they had relied upon or they had come to believe in, even if it was a mindset that, there's information or circumstances that are coming in that are really calling that into question. They may have seen and experienced things as well, even through the nature of this connection, that has really altered their worldview, that whatever their perception of reality was before, that has shifted, that has changed. Something with the Magician as well, where this person is recognizing their personal power, how thoughts become things, what they are directing their energy and attention on comes into being. This can be somebody who's really trying to manifest a certain type of life for themselves. And through this process as well of really working on some of these shadows within themselves, really seeking to kind of change some kind of belief system or mindset that might have limited them, or that really didn't fit with who they are becoming, with what they have, really discovered about themselves through this energy of kind of this spiritual awakening, this ascension journey, this dark night of the soul. This is somebody who's really rebuilding themselves from the ground up. And sort of in tandem with that, I feel, is what this new strategy is required, and this idea of the path to love and the path to happiness. Something has really given way, something has been exposed for this person, that what they had been prioritizing on in the past was not the root of true happiness, that in some way they were living almost a limited life, that their capacity to experience joy and connection was somehow limited by their belief systems. This is an energy of somebody who's setting themselves free from that, who is daring to imagine a different type of life for themselves. Somebody who is really coming into balance with both the light and shadow aspects of themselves, instead of holding that in and trying to suppress that. This is an energy of somebody who is, coming into full acceptance of these things, sort of weaving all of these characteristics into themselves in order to stand in that authenticity, to stand in that truth, to really rise beyond sort of the limits of self, the limits of the life they had created for themselves, the limits of how they perceived this connection. This is really bringing to mind with both of these images of these birds with their wings spread, kind of this idea of yin yang and counterpart energy, where maybe this person in the past had perceived the two of you being just too different to make it work. But it's something where they're starting to really appreciate those differences. They're starting to really see how the two of you, in fact, complement each other. There's a sense of peace that this person has when they think of you, when they think of the ways in which both your strengths and your deficits really complement each other. Something that this person has been able to recognize about you as well. Maybe the ways in which you've kind of gathered up the pieces of yourself after whatever occurred with this person. How you have, really done that work within, done that shadow work to kind of release resentment, release any kind of fears of inadequacy or feelings of not being good enough based on what happened. Any ways in which this situation with this person has really triggered some wounds around love in general, maybe stemming from heartbreaks of the past, or something to do with your family of origin, sort of the perception that you had of yourself based on the stories that others might have told you of who you are or who you are supposed to be, what love is supposed to look like, kind of the proper progression of things, what should be focused on, what should be kind of set aside or sacrificed in order to reach a certain goal or a certain pinnacle, and kind of this process of release, letting these things go, letting these old versions of self fall away so that, you know, the newness can come. This idea here with this, on this card with the salmon as well, and salmons being kind of these emblems of wisdom, this idea of taking the wisdom from experiences of the past, including with this person, and kind of letting the rest go, releasing the rest from your energy, keeping only what is important for you. There's also a sense here of maybe you having released expectations of this person's return. You may have, you know, really kind of been in this sort of dark period of whatever occurred between the both of you, feeling a very palpable and tangible connection, feeling this very intense, you know, spiritual awakening, these hopes that, you know, this was your person, this was your counterpart. Maybe you resonate as a twin flame, or you saw this person as your soulmate, or as a kindred spirit, a kindred soul. And there's a sense here of them maybe just focusing on the surface reality, not wanting to acknowledge the spiritual component of this situation, and that really coming at a cost of what you two could have had together. And this process that you've kind of been on to, you know, take a new strategy with this, to kind of release some of these really down feelings, these really dense feelings, to instead open up to, you know, this horizon of love in other forms, maybe even opening your heart to the idea of, you know, love from another person, potentially holding a space of love for this person, but not waiting in the expectation of their return. Not putting your life on hold for that, really making the most of the opportunity that this situation has afforded you to, again, kind of go through that journey within self. This feels very much like mirrored energy here. The two of you really finding your purpose, really trying to find the importance and the lessons out of this experience, and kind of what's been triggered, what's been brought up from the depths of the subconscious, what you can use out of these experiences, making the most of what you do have, not focusing on what is gone, what did not work, but taking inventory, taking stock of what you do have, recognizing and cultivating some of your gifts, things that might have been largely overlooked or had been neglected, maybe, you know, gifts and of a psychic nature even, or an artistic nature, or, you know, just other kind of aspects of yourself, qualities of your character that hadn't been valued by others. You hadn't really valued these things, and they've really started to activate. They've become more apparent. They've come online in a more pronounced way, and kind of rebuilding your life, reshifting your focus, maybe doing something completely different for a living, maybe some kind of spiritually based business, and experiencing some degree of success with that. Kind of the successful evolution within, rippling out to success in the material world, or at least being on the path to that. And kind of in tandem with that is, again, this kind of this heightened perception that this person has of the ways in which you, again, the two of you really complement each other. This can be somebody who is, you know, starting to focus on trying to regenerate something in this connection. In this card here with the Three of Pentacles, this is an energy of, you know, rebuilding kind of building a solid foundation rather, but with this image of these plum blossoms here, and those being kind of like this idea of hope and renewal, sort of like the first kind of pre-springtime flowers that germinate in the midst of winter, in the midst of this kind of cold and dormant period that, you know, instill this sense of hope of better times to come. There's an energy of hopefulness to this dynamic between the both of you, that, you know, finally you've come into this place of balance within each other, where you can really build something meaningful. You can really build something solid and stable, because you've come to a place of stability within yourself. You both know yourself and have kind of taken your power back and have achieved a degree of autonomy, even in the sense of, you know, kind of separating yourself from the stories others might have told you of who you are, and coming to know who that genuine person is, truly standing in that authenticity, you know, kind of the bravery of allowing the full facets of your being to be known, speaking your truth, aligning with your purpose, living the values that you hold inside in a very profound and pronounced way. And there's this idea here with this person really seeing this compatibility between the both of you, this symbiosis between the both of you that might not have been so apparent before, this urge that they have to build something with you. To work on this connection, to work to move past kind of what was overlooked previously, what didn't go wrong. This is somebody who's come into this place of enlightenment within themselves, who has ascended in their ability to give and receive love to themselves first and foremost, and is now in this position of being able to really give something of value, something of substance, something that can be lasting to this connection, somebody who wants to work on this, to build toward a solid and stable future with you. So in terms of actions, again with the tower, this could come in very unexpectedly on this card here. This is almost a clock tower. So this can really talk about, somebody you've been waiting for, somebody you've been at a distance from for quite a while. This almost feels like this idea of the Hail Mary pass, kind of at the 11th hour, this person comes in, right when you're at the point of moving forward. Maybe you are starting to open yourself up to other connections. You've started to meet other people. You've started to really, accept kind of this idea or come to terms with this idea that, maybe the two of you are just not meant to align in this lifetime. And so you've opened yourself up to, love in other forms. You're ready to really get out there and to kind of start again in that capacity. And sort of right at that point is when this person kind of reemerges. That buildup that you're able to kind of feel and just maybe feeling that as an urge to kind of put yourself out there in other ways, and kind of the action steps that you take in that sense, really along that wave. It also kind of brings this person in. It really is ushered forth by them, and it ushers them forth. This is somebody who, could really, again, with this magician, kind of this idea of law of attraction, of really trying to manifest this, trying to manifest a new beginning, somebody who's getting kind of all those components in order, somebody who has, really worked on their confidence, is working on what they want to say, somebody who might be kind of drafting or scripting what they want to say, with this idea of here with the Eight of Pentacles and all these different little pentacles. These could be multiple drafts of an email, of a text, of a direct message that they want to send to you, kind of rehearsing how that's going to go, trying to plan out as much as possible. But then being right at that brink of understanding that there's a certain degree of trust that needs to happen, that those plannings and preparations can only go so far. And at a certain point, then it's a matter of release. It's a matter of trust. This also with this idea of release and this watery energy, this can really talk about kind of a heartfelt message that comes through, that whatever this person has been working to draft or to say, whether that's a phone call or again some kind of like some kind of online communication, something that they've written out or typed out, it's something that comes from a very emotional place, a very vulnerable place. This doesn't feel to be somebody that's just gonna start with a hi, how are you? It's gonna be something in depth. It's gonna be something that they're open and understanding to the possibility that you might not respond to them. And so there's almost this sense of wanting to make sure that they get out as much as they can, that they make everything abundantly clear, because of the idea that there might not be that opportunity for back and forth. So this isn't somebody, you might have been dealing with somebody previously who was kind of, again, vague or closed off, a little bit guarded, not really in touch with their feelings, not able to express these things. But there's a shift more to an energy of openness here. Somebody who wants to really to get that out, to not hold back, to speak truths that they may have withheld or denied in the past. A new strategy being required. They're understanding that kind of that closed off approach. It didn't serve them well. It hasn't served them well in their life in general, and it was to their disservice and to your disservice in this connection previously. So it's almost this idea of liberation in the sense too of maybe lingering questions that you had being answered. Kind of that confirmation this provides that even after all this time, you are still on this person's heart, you're still on their mind. Confirmation that the kind of the spiritual experience that you had, the activations you've had, the Kundalini awakening, this person acknowledging that in some capacity to where you really understand that this wasn't just all in your head. They have felt this too. The shifts that you've been going through, they have gone through these things as well. So a lot of clarity could be coming in. Deep heartfelt message, deep heartfelt conversation, something that's been planned, something that this person has been working toward for a while, something that is well thought out, and something that even if you choose to just allow that to be a point of closure, if you choose not to engage with this person, maybe you've moved on in other ways. Maybe again, you've opened your heart to love. You've met somebody else, or you're just, you're interested in seeing what other kind of gifts of love Spirit has to offer for you. You're not ready to just kind of return to this, to engaging with an energetic dynamic in a more active way with this person. It feels that whatever it is that they provide to you, whatever it is that they say, it's something which provides you with some kind of a peace, maybe some kind of a closure for you. It's something that in a way is almost a complete package in and of itself. It's something that if you choose not to engage, to develop upon that further, to expand upon that further, it's something of great value and meaning nonetheless. It can be some kind of a vindication. It again sort of frees you from maybe any kind of lingering energy of holding on, of waiting, any kind of uncertainty, any kind of ways in which you've been questioning the journey that you've been on. It almost sets you free. It provides that closure, that final piece of this puzzle to, if you choose, sort of let this person go with love, to continue forward on your journey, knowing that this was not all for nothing, that this was not something that was just a singular or one-sided experience, but spiritually, this person has been transformed as well. Spiritually, there have been things that have occurred to this person, almost this idea of parallel paths. To where maybe, there are other experiences in love then that you are supposed to have. And then again, further down the road, maybe it'll be the time for the two of you. It's really all up to free will and just, what you feel most inclined to do at the moment. But for a lot of you, this is going to be something where, this is that long-awaited conversation that comes in. It may come in quite suddenly, quite unexpectedly from this person, almost like magic. It's almost something which, either in terms of the dynamic between the both of you or in some way in your own life, this is the energy of rebirth, of renewal. It allows you to move forward, either the two of you together or you as an individual, to move forward in some way that you might not have even known you were stuck. Some kind of an unconscious or a subconscious wound is released. As much as you might have worked on yourself, you might feel that you're very much at peace with this, you're fine with this, you're open to, whatever happens, you've released this person in love, and you've moved forward in your life. There is an indication of some kind of a lingering layer within this, some kind of a tie to this that you might not even be aware of, that is brought to the surface and is untethered from you. You feel this lightness. You feel this energy of being ready to soar in a way that is very unexpected, that you didn't even know that you need. It brings some kind of balance, some kind of a closure, the end to some kind of a chapter, and then the start of something new. Again, either with this person or just the ability to really feel confident in your decision, maybe to move forward into other directions in love and in your life. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self for you now, group 2. Let's see, what do they want to say? Okay, and they say, my darkness got the better of me, so I ran. So this can be that confirmation of maybe these belief systems about love, these feelings about, showing love being a sign of weakness or something they just weren't comfortable with. And some deep intensity activated by this connection, this urge to really open up in a way that they were unaccustomed to that really called into question their priorities, their belief systems. And it feels definitely like part of this process. These wounds that were triggered, that journey within, sort of the aftermath you were left with, what was brought to the surface in you through that experience, and the ways in which you both have had to kind of venture within to self-soothe, to heal these things, to come to terms with these things, create some kind of balance, some kind of stability within self, really get to know yourself, kind of peel back the layers of self, unearth your authenticity, and then kind of bring that out, emanate that out into a life circumstances, people that you are surrounding yourself with, things that you are participating in, even a restructuring of your belief systems, your spiritual practices even. All of these things really being kind of those necessary processes and fruits of the labor of what kind of that initial spark, this experience, this pivot point between the both of you was really, it's almost a sense of completing a mission, in a sense that the two of you had set out prior to this incarnation to accomplish together. This activation point to that journey within, to kind of unearth and bring that best version of yourselves individually up to the surface, to make that more apparent than it had been previously. And they also say, I know we're twin flames, so that can be that confirmation for you. That was coming out with this idea of kind of the yin yang energy here, and this balance. Somebody who might have thought you two were just too opposite to truly attract, to really make it work. And there's a new perspective that this person has. For some of you, they may have come across that term of twin flame or soulmates, kindred souls, kindred spirits, soul family, soul tribe, and these ideas could really resonate with them when they think about your energy. They think about this dynamic. And for others of you where that's not part of their lexicon, this is somebody who just feels this deep and abiding connectedness to you. Almost this gratitude for kind of the difficulties and the challenges that this connection has really brought to the surface within them. But then also a sense of kind of peace and of resolution as well, about kind of the level of safety, of sanctuary that they have felt in your presence, this level of joy, that this connection in kind of a deep and energetic sense, what that brings to them, this sense of knowing that this is a very significant relationship, that you are a very significant person, that connecting with you, interacting with you, meeting you, really it's a mile marker in their life. This person seems to have achieved some degree of self-awareness to where they are able to recognize kind of the life they were leading before everything that has transpired between the both of you. Being almost a pale comparison in some way to what they have unearthed within themselves. As much as there might have been difficult times, things falling away, things crumbling away, this seems to be somebody who's kind of on the upswing in some capacity, even if that's just this being very much at peace with what has happened, and kind of creating this sense of hopefulness about what can be created out of this, what can be salvaged out of this in their life, and potentially even in this connection. And they also say, your voice soothes me. So that was coming up with this idea of almost like a seed that you may have planted within this person, something that you may have said that it felt that it almost fell on deaf ears. It's starting to make sense. It's starting to resonate. This person seeing you as kind of having this innate soul wisdom as well, this urge to kind of reconnect with you, to talk to you, understanding that, kind of the journey and the experience that they have had, that in some way you might be able to relate to this in a way that others in their life are not. So there's this urging to, again, speak, to communicate with you. And we have, you are my muse. So very much energetically inspired by you and the transformation that you have undergone in your own life. For others of you, if they are able to kind of see you on social media, if you've been public at all about your transformation, even if you haven't given a step-by-step analysis of the process, just the changes that this person is able to recognize in you, maybe even in photographs, even in the way that you smile, that you carry yourself, the things that you're posting about on social media, where your focus is, what your life is like. All of these things are really inspiring this person. They're seeing you from this very beautiful and authentic energy. They're seeing that you really have kind of made the most of a lot of situations in your life, that you really have successfully kind of reconciled a lot of shadows within yourself. You've healed a lot within yourself. This healing is very apparent. It is emanating from the inside out. There's a glow about you. Something about your energy or your aura is vastly transformed from the last time that they were dealing with you, or when, you know, the energy of how you left things. This person is almost filled with this a sense of peace, knowing that some of the difficult times may have really they have helped to kind of shape you into a more aware version of self, that you have really triumphed over some of these personal obstacles, maybe even kind of these fears within yourself, these ideas, these projections that kind of kept you small. They kept you very limited in terms of how you viewed yourself, your estimation of your worth, the way in which you carried yourself. You might have almost, with this idea here on this image on this card, and she's kind of walking with this sort of slumped over shoulders looking down, there might have almost been this feeling of life being very heavy upon you, a lot of things weighing upon you, and energetically that being, you know, perceptible if this person is sensitive to energy, or even just, you know, in the way you were carrying yourself literally. There's something where, you know, maybe your posture has straightened, you're holding your head up, you're walking forward with pride, you're walking forward with a sense of confidence. You've left behind a lot of the wounds and the battles that you were fighting within yourself, maybe even not consciously aware of that, but kind of this baggage that you've been carrying around, almost like this sack of rocks that had been just kind of added to throughout the years, that was weighing you down. It was making your journey in life very arduous, and in some way this transformation, what has been sparked, what has been awakened, what has been activated within you, it has helped you to kind of release those things, to leave those things, to take that wisdom, leave the rest behind, to lighten your load, the burden upon your spiritual self, upon your soul in this journey, so that you are more unencumbered, so that you have this motivation and ability to really spread your wings and fly. They may see you as having aligned with your life's purpose in some way. The work you're doing is meaningful, or you're creating more meaning in your life in other ways. You are living a more fulfilled life. You are enjoying your life. You are a source of joy for others, and have really kind of prioritized that healing and abundance within yourself, this abundance mindset that is then rippled out even into, you know, kind of maybe the beginnings of a very abundant future for you in a lot of ways. Or, you know, you've cultivated some sense of stability, some sense of autonomy and independence for yourself, that this person is really, they're looking to and admiring, maybe literally or even just energetically. They are feeling into that shift, and it's something that they are applauding, and they're looking to as an example in this own process in their life of kind of doing those similar changes. And they also say, I'm sorry, I took more than I gave, yet you never kept score. So that again is this indication of balance, this peace. Somebody who really is, you know, might have again thought you two were too different to really make it work. Somebody who might have really been judging the circumstances, judging you based on the surface appearance of things. Somebody who is able to really be cognizant now of kind of the beauty of this dynamic, this energetic reciprocity between the both of you, the potential of what exists. Somebody who, you know, this could be some of these kind of triggers and fears and darkness that they're having to work through, as ways in which they kind of misjudged you, or sort of took advantage of this connection. You know, kind of allowed you to do all the work in this circumstance, and they just kind of really reap the benefits of that. Somebody who, you know, was unable or unwilling to kind of accept the cup of love that you were offering, but they were more than willing to kind of accept all that attention that you were giving them. Somebody who, you know, again, when that kind of awakening, that pivot point really happened, really was activated. Somebody who, you know, feels a bit of regret for not participating more with you, for not being more of a support system with you through that, through not opening up, or, you know, also in this process of forgiving themselves for not being comfortable or able or willing to open up about what they were feeling, what they were experiencing, what they were sensing. The ways in which they pushed this connection away and tried to kind of tuck it away and just focus on things maybe of the material world, things that were known, things that were familiar. and a sense of maybe having abandoned you due to the intensity of this energy, which through their kind of personal experience with that now, that personal process of evolution and metamorphosis, there's a sense of really walking in your shoes, feeling that kind of confusion and sort of that chaos of the crumbling down, and also experiencing kind of those joys as little moments are rebirthed, little versions of self kind of peek through sort of that expanse of nothingness in a sense that is created, kind of coming out of that liminal space in between what was and what is to become, and kind of the ways in which, you know, those first kind of green shoots, like the spring growth, happens little by little before it's in kind of full bloom. And this person really, their perspective drastically having shifted, really experiencing what you have experienced now, seeing what you have seen now, and kind of this urge to really discuss these things with you, to provide some kind of vindication, to assure you this wasn't all in your head, that they have felt this too from the beginning, and they might have been slow to kind of surrender or participate with it in their own life in their own way, but some kind of change has occurred to where they're working with this now. They've surrendered to this current, to this flow that is changing them. It's changing them from the inside. It's changing their outside circumstances. It's changing them spiritually. It's changing them as an individual, and therefore the potential of how the two of you can experience one another in this connection in the future. And they also say, thoughts of you haunt me as I fall asleep. So again, really thinking back on the past, on kind of missing the times that you two shared, a feeling of missed opportunity here, and really seeing things from a new perspective. This feels like somebody who, you know, is getting a lot of signs, they're getting a lot of downloads. You might be meeting with each other in dreams as well, and it's definitely part of that energetic pressure that you might be feeling is the way that this is so heavily on this person's mind. There's this feeling of them almost wanting to make things right, understanding that they may have left you in a very precarious energy. They may have kind of just left you out in the cold, left you to kind of fend for yourself in a certain sense. And there's this idea of wanting to kind of bring you something of value, something of change, some kind of resolution needing to happen, some kind of an apology maybe needing to be owed as well. So I'm going to get a little bit of guidance from Spirit for you now, Group 2, about the situation. Okay, and we have look inside yourself. So this is some really a beautiful confirmation here with this green and kind of this this little sphere here, this little opening, this portal. This is really talking about this kind of heart chakra activation that has happened within this person, this awareness, this person coming online in some greater capacity to their spiritual self, to their truth, to their authenticity. This person having been on this journey within self, and now ready to kind of reemerge with that wisdom. This can also really encourage you to, feel energetically into these circumstances, especially when you're feeling that sort of pressure, that buildup, not really being sure about what's on the horizon, trusting your guidance, trusting, what you feel inclined to do if this person is to approach you. If you've decided to open up your heart to love again, maybe you've met someone else, maybe you're just exploring that, you've opened up to that possibility of finding that partner in another person. And if this person is to then return to your life, really trusting that instinct about whether, whatever they have to say or offer is just a form of closure for you so you can continue to move forward in other directions in your life. Or whether this is something where, you feel very compelled that this is that intersection point where the two of you are really, you're capable as individuals of really feeding into this connection in a reciprocal way. Just because this might have been a long time coming, if something feels off about that, something doesn't feel quite right, maybe the personal growth you two have done, you've both just migrated in different directions from each other, and so that can again be this sort of closure, but or even open up to a friendship potentially if that's something you would want, or maybe it's just kind of that completion in this lifetime or for now, but really trusting that instinct, the nudges that come through, trusting the work that you've done on yourself, trusting your own discernment, any kind of fears that might come up about maybe re-entering old patterns, any kind of an inclination that you are sensing that maybe this person is still, I mean, everyone's kind of always a work in progress. There's never an end point with the awakening and the unfolding journey. It's a very dynamic and fluid process. It's almost something that once it begins, it's kind of like this perpetual motion machine. There is no end point. It's the constant evolution as the world changes, as we change, as the circumstances we interact with and the people that we interact with and the information that we interact with, as that shapes us and molds us. It's surrendering to this idea that, the change, the evolution is a constancy that occurs in the lifetime. It occurs within the soul. It's something that kind of defies the constraints of time even. And so really understanding that, based on that, whatever you're feeling most inclined to, if this is something, that journey of kind of perpetual growth and maturation and evolution, if this is something you feel compelled that the two of you are meant to really reconnect, that it feels right, it feels good, that there's some kind of a growth process then in another way that is meant to happen between the both of you, then really trust that over any kind of fears or hesitations that might be cautioning you, or kind of bringing up some of these old and residual memories of what occurred with this person before. On the flip side of that, if something doesn't quite feel right with them, it doesn't feel like the time is right, or you've grown in another direction, having the confidence and the assertiveness to really advocate for yourself, advocate for what feels good, honoring that growth and that work that you've done within yourself, that balance you have achieved within yourself, this spiritual quest, this journey that you have been on. And understanding that that's okay, that a person that might have resonated with you, even if it's someone you consider your twin flame, that doesn't automatically mean that the two of you need to be in some kind of 3D romantic union in this lifetime. This idea of twin flames, it's something that even defies time itself. Lifetimes are almost like, they're like chapters in kind of this infinite book, this infinite story of the journey of two souls. And so whatever has occurred within this lifetime or will occur with the two of you, that's not the end of the road. There's different experiences, different things you are meant to trigger. Twin flame dynamics, they don't all need to, have this end result of 3D physical union. There can be different kind of purposes. There's different experiences. That kind of result, that sort of end goal, it can be different for everyone. It can change throughout time. It can be something where, maybe you connect for just kind of almost a map check, a period of checking back in with each other to kind of go off in your own directions for different types of growth. Maybe further down the line, maybe later in your life, the two of you then come back together. Or it's something where, in another lifetime, then there are different series of lessons that are meant to be learned through that 3D physical union that, maybe goes really well. It maybe goes really smoothly. Maybe that's a lifetime where you're meant to nourish each other at the soul level, through that harmony. But whatever the circumstances or the nature of your individual dynamic with this person is, the guidance is to really look within yourself, to trust that instinct, to really take at face value what's being presented, but at the same time feel beyond that surface, and you'll find that answer, that resonance within you. Okay, and we also have Rose Pink Dragon, prepares your heart to connect with the higher facets of the cosmic heart. Open your heart to warm-hearted love and diamond light. Connect with the love of the universe. So that is a beautiful bit of guidance as well for you, group 2. And again, this, like with this, all this green here, this heart chakra energy, and this is really speaking to, this activation, this next level, whether this is the peace and the closure that you both need to kind of take that next step in your romantic journey, in your personal journey, maybe in a different direction with other partners, or if this is the coming back together, this is that 3D union that you both have been working toward in this lifetime, so that you are able to kind of experience the fruits of that work you've done within each other, in the form of being able finally to have that ability to create and maintain a very stable connection with one another. There's definitely something on the horizon for you that will, really help to, again, kind of unburden you from something within your heart you didn't even know you were carrying. Some kind of a sense of vindication, some kind of a sense of release, even a sense of confirmation with this person, really acknowledging the activation, really acknowledging the component, the dynamic between the both of you, where they may have really run from those feelings previously. With all this heart chakra energy, this also again really talks about a heart-to-heart conversation, what this person presents to you. Regardless of what you choose to do with that communication, it is coming from a place of awareness. It is coming from, this very elevated stance within this person. This feels like somebody who's done a lot of work within themselves. And what they provide to you really is to ignite kind of that next level of healing within your heart, individually, or again, through kind of a shared experience with each other. But this is also really reminding you again, like what I was just saying, what I was just channeling about this idea of kind of the perpetuity of the twin flame journey, that it's something that never ends, and to really start to shift your focus beyond just the temporary kind of parameters of a physical lifetime, that the two of your souls almost, this idea of kind of somersaulting through eternity with each other, that you have shared other lives before this, you will share other lifetimes beyond this, you exist simultaneously in other aspects, in other kind of layers of reality than what you are experiencing here in this timeline with this person. And so to focus on that at the heart of all of this, through the difficulties, the trials and tribulations you've experienced with this person, the victories, the very tender moments, all of this is really helping to kind of bring your awareness to kind of the multifaceted being that the force of love is, kind of both all the polarities of that, to come into this very well-rounded understanding of who you both are at the heart level, who you both are at the soul level, kind of the ways in which the force of love has manifested in the two of you as individuals, and also in kind of the circumstances of this dynamic, how that can then ripple out, focusing first and foremost on that love of self as kind of the route to being able to kind of give and receive love in a healthy and reciprocal manner to others, whether that's friends, whether that's family, whether that's romance. It all starts with the journey within. So some pretty major changes and evolutions that this circumstance has really set out to kind of provide for you, and the work that you've done in yourself and kind of overcoming these things, kind of energetically assisting each other through this process that is really helping to kind of strengthen your awareness and be able to hone your ability to be that emanation of love in this lifetime. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 2, this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got O, Z, C, L, D, Y, M, N, A, and G. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry and some divination tools in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Selenite along with these cards, which I will start with to get an idea about what are their potential actions towards you. Got the Seven of Swords, Two of Cups, the Emperor, Page of Cups, the Tree of Wishes is calling your name. An almost forgotten wish will now come true. New birth, guarded vigilantly. Priorities. And Zen garden, inner sanctuary. So this definitely feels like somebody who is breaking away from something. With this Seven of Swords here and this idea with this crow, and he's taking these 5 swords and kind of leaving these other crows behind with the other 2. So this can be belief systems, mindsets, maybe the opinions of other people, friends or family that had really kind of skewed or kind of distorted this person's kind of perspective of you, their perspective about the relationship, the things that they were valuing with priorities, the things that they were focusing on. Maybe somebody who was really kind of prioritizing work or even kind of worldly success with the Emperor, business matters, kind of focusing on this energy of power and authority, of kind of attaining these things, maintaining these things, that could have really been kind of top priority in the past. Somebody who, was operating mainly from kind of a logical mindset as well. Somebody who was not really tapped into their emotional body. Somebody who was kind of operating from an energy of distortion, using the head at the expense of the heart, rather than having some kind of balance between the two, kind of ignoring their emotional needs as well, kind of sacrificing those things. Maybe somebody who felt that love or even this connection needed to be sacrificed in some way in order to kind of be able to fit in with the expectations of others, the projections of others, a projection of success, something this person was working towards, some kind of fame, notoriety, autonomy, or success, maybe some kind of a business venture, and they had kind of put this connection on the back burner or sacrificed it altogether. There seems to be a change in that, a shift in that, with the swords energy again, with sort of this mental energy, this air energy. Something in this person's thoughts have changed. They have evolved. They are seeing things from a new perspective. They're seeing this connection from a new perspective. They may have actually attained some of that worldly success, conquered a lot of those goals, but it's something that it's left them with a feeling of lack almost. There's a sense of this very barren energy, nobody to really share that joy with. Kind of the victories being very cold, almost a sharp reality as well about what these pursuits, what that came at the expense of. With this Two of Cups, this is this energy of really kind of coming back together. And this imagery here of these 2 crows kind of beak to beak, this can really talk about some kind of a heartfelt conversation, speaking truth that may have been withheld previously. This also brings to mind this idea of being eye to eye, coming onto the same page in some capacity. Somebody who may have really experienced some kind of a heart chakra activation as well, or started to really recognize the importance or the lack thereof of in their life, of love, of reciprocal relationships, of deep and meaningful connections. This could be somebody that, has a lot of associates, but not a lot of friends. Somebody who their connections are very surface level. Things of, not that there's anything wrong with talking about things that are intellectual, but that could be sort of the limits of the conversations. Feelings are not really discussed. Dreams and kind of goals in kind of a loftier sense are not really discussed. That's not part of the lexicon. They could be dealing with folks that are really just very technical in nature, people that are just kind of, or relationships that are just sort of focused around, like current events or around politics, focused around, money and on practical things rather than, conversations about the meaning of life, the meaning of existence. What are your goals? What are your hopes? What are your fears? What are your favorite things? What makes you laugh? What makes you cry? People that don't know them on that deep kind of level. It could just be kind of this cold and sort of surface exterior that their relationships have really been based on. This can also be the energy of somebody who has really kind of closeted those aspects of themselves away in order to, again, sort of fit an image or a projection of what other people expected of them. The image of success and of power as it has been dictated to them. There's this idea here also on this crow, and he's wearing this little neck piece with these little feathers, and this feels almost like foes that have been vanquished. Somebody that may have been in this very competitive energy. Somebody who may have really even perceived a threat in invitations to open up emotionally. Somebody who really could have pushed this connection away in the past because it threatened what their priorities were. Somebody who could have really equated kind of emotions with a sign of weakness and really sought to kind of thwart any attempts to dig beneath that very stoic exterior that they have. But something has really shifted. Again, maybe some kind of a victory or some period in this person's life. Maybe they have reached sort of a milestone period, almost like the energy of a midlife crisis, or regardless of age, just something that they have accomplished, that they're now looking around at this kingdom that they have built for themselves. They are at the top of the mountain. They are king of the hill or queen of the hill. They're at that pinnacle, but there's not a lot to show for that. There might be this kind of solid and material kind of sense of stability, this fortress that they have almost created, this palace that they have created for themselves, that almost it has a dual function. It's almost a prison of sorts that is kind of keeping this person really contained, really kind of limiting their ability to experience the fullness and diversity of what life has to offer. Somebody with this Page of Cups also could be very emotionally immature. That could have been an issue of the past. Somebody who didn't have a lot of experience with love and connection. Somebody who felt very much like a novice when it came to expressing their emotions, even in prioritizing self-care and self-well-being. This person could have also had some kind of like a health scare maybe that came up, or something that they saw from those around them. Maybe people in their life that had kind of a similar viewpoint. This could be people in their life or even mentors that they had that had really kind of been striving to build that kingdom in a material sense, in a worldly sense. And at the end of those people's life, there might have been some kind of regret about not having experienced more joy, not having experienced more of a sense of connectedness, kind of these regrets of what they had prioritized. Something about that having made a profound impact on this person that has really shaken something or awakened something within them, to where what was once not a priority is now a priority for them. But it's almost like starting from scratch, starting from the beginning, feeling a little bit out of their element, a little bit uncertain, a little bit leery, a little bit like the competition might be kind of stiff in terms of if they are, to approach you or to come back in with some kind of an emotional offer. They feel that it's something that they're not exactly sure how to do that. They're not exactly sure that what they would have to offer. There is this urge to act upon this, where in the past they may have kind of pushed this away or declined your offer of love. But there's a sense of that almost being a cluttered offer, that, you know, it's got all these other kind of distractions, all these other maybe kind of what ifs or things that this person is still kind of preoccupied with. They're not exactly confident in the value of what they have to give. On this card, you know, this single cup on the page, this is the Ace of Cups. This is that pure love offer. But there's a sense here with all of these other kind of distractions, maybe even, you know, thoughts and fears and kind of these webs, these tangled little webs that this person is kind of running around in about what if it's not good enough? What if you say no? What if they get hurt? What if they in some way, you know, lose? What if the stability that they have built? What if, you know, making love a priority, what if that doesn't work out to the best? How are they going to be able to focus and maintain on all these other things if they, you know, don't really have the time or space, or they aren't making a priority of love up to this point? How do they do that? And they're failing to recognize kind of that purity, tapping into that purity. They're failing to recognize the wealth and value of that. This feels like somebody who's almost too caught up in the details, maybe in other circumstances in your material world, kind of obstacles or nuisances that are standing in the way, in the form of maybe there's distance between the both of you, maybe based on what happened in the past, that, you know, you might not be so receptive to them. You might be kind of short with them. If they reach out to you, you might kind of respond to them in an almost an uncomfortable way. It could be something where you're very guarded, you're very defensive, you are inclined to then move away too quickly. A sense of, you know, what if you reject them in the same way that they rejected you? You know, feeling that it's, you know, there might be some kind of an interference, a blockage in their heart too, that they're not, they're aware of, and they haven't necessarily really dislodged from themselves in terms of other opportunities where they passed up on personal happiness and satisfaction at the expense of kind of these other sort of lofty dreams and goals, these other projections of success or priorities that they had been focusing on. There's a sense of a lot needing to be kind of lifted and alleviated from this person's heart space before they are able to recognize the full value of what they have to offer, the purity and kind of this intangible wealth of the pure and unadulterated heart, kind of this fear that they're not good enough, or just all these other kind of factors and circumstances that are kind of creating some hesitation, some hesitancy at this point in time to just step forward, to make that offer, to make that truth known. It's something also with this idea of new birth and it being guarded vigilantly, that there's still, there's an awakening that has happened in the heart space, but they're very guarded about that. They're very unsure about that, kind of operating from that emotional body, really feeling into their feelings, you know, allowing themselves to entertain the idea of love. It's like a new sprout. It's something very new for this person. It's very outside of their comfort zone. This is a language that they are not fluent in, and it's something that they are, you know, they're starting to just very slowly kind of ease into that. With this butterfly here, there is transformation that is occurring. There's change on the horizon. That very first kind of seed or spark has been awakened within them. And again, most likely fueled for a lot of you by something in the outside world that has been kind of a wake-up call for this person, whether that's, you know, something that happened with someone they're close to, or someone that they may have considered a mentor, kind of this idea of these regrets about what was prioritized, and that really having shaken this person awake, or maybe some kind of like a midlife crisis, some kind of pivot point that they are at, some kind of pinnacle of success, and looking around and feeling this lack, feeling this loneliness, almost this isolation within themselves. With this Zen garden and inner sanctuary, this does seem to be what the priority is at this point in time. This person is very much fixated on this, very much absorbed in this, trying to kind of move past this, move through these fears. It feels very tangled, a web, or almost like a thick overgrowth, you know, of all this kind of dense vegetation that's within their heart. They're feeling very overwhelmed. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to kind of have to wade through, to sort of move aside, or to cut away from, to deal with, to honor, to recognize. And it's a process. It's almost this process of needing to kind of prune away at the disappointments that they've been holding, the blocks that have really obscured their ability to tap into that heart space, to let love out, to express love. So they're aware of this, and this feels like somebody that's almost, it's that journey within. They've tapped into that. They're being made aware of the path forward. And so in terms of actions, this really feels like somebody where, as much as there's been this pivot point, this activation point, you're really going to sense something too. You're really going to pick up on this heart chakra activation in this person. You might even experience like a sudden shift in their priorities, in what they are focusing on. This almost feels like a very just a very tangled energy. It feels like somebody who's really trying to make up for lost time. And so this could be something where you had almost given up hope that this person would ever kind of get the message, that they would ever learn to value love, or that they would ever really, tap into that in a healthy way. And it feels very much like a breakthrough, but something to where when they come towards you, when they approach you, it might be very jumbled. It might be something where, it's almost this energy of kind of stuttering, or just being kind of all over the place with it. Being very, at first, it's going to take them some time to get their footing with that. They're still learning that language of love. At times it will be very effective in what it is they have to give you, what it is they have to show and demonstrate. At other times it's going to miss the mark. It'll be near that, but it won't hit that. It won't tap into that. So this feels like something as well with kind of this image here of this lotus on this card, and this idea of kind of pushing forth out of that dense, that kind of swampy energy. And so this thing of beauty can spring out. We have this again here too on another lotus on the Two of Cups, that there is breakthrough happening in this circumstance, but it's something where it's a layer of density that is needing to be pushed through, some kind of a communication barrier. And I feel that it's really it's these energies that have been kind of clogged within this person for so long. It's almost like their heart is coming alive for the first time. This person really tapping into their heart in a way that is entirely new for them. And it's this energy, like with the lotuses, of just pushing through. This person knowing that they want something different, looking at it in a very kind of general sort of umbrella term of love, not really being sure what that means exactly, how to express that, kind of wading through those kind of triggers, even as they are starting to try and give love in a more intense and honest level than you were used to dealing with previously, from more of that heart-centered awareness. And kind of as that reciprocity happens, then that back and forth, this can be somebody who kind of at first gets those kind of cold feet. They feel kind of triggered. They're pulling away. But then it's something, this is not to indicate a repeat of almost a runner-chaser cycle, but it's somebody who's just, they're in that constant momentum of pushing forward. It's almost like they're exerting themselves, and then they need to take periods of rest, only to exert themselves more, to take a breather, to take that period of rest. So it's not a full retraction. It's not a full retreat. It's just giving, and then periods of kind of stillness while they're processing this, while they're acclimating to that feeling, that sensation, being accustomed to that, trying to gauge based on the responses that they are receiving. If they have, properly expressed themselves, if something is lacking. This feels like somebody who is opening up to the idea of speaking about their feelings more. But it's, again, still something that they're very much guarded about. So this can definitely be, in terms of communication that could come through, actions that could come through. This is somebody who wants to make that declaration, who wants to make that expression. But it's something that might come through with a lot needing to to be inferred. This could be somebody, this definitely feels like somebody that's not going to come and pour forth all at once. This is going to be somebody who kind of takes these small steps. It's almost little by little, like the idea of a lot of overgrowth, like an overgrown kind of tangled bunch of weeds and bushes and kind of like a yard that hasn't been tended to, a very kind of wild space, and this process of kind of separating that, kind of freeing sort of the viable vegetation, the crops from maybe the tangle and the weeds that have grown up around that, and kind of this meticulous process where sometimes they're going to, give a little too much, sometimes they're not going to be giving enough, but it's something where there is breakthrough, there is something that is happening here. And so this really feels like, patience is definitely going to be required with this person when they come through this arduous work, that it's going to be, this gradual thing, again, not all at once, kind of, giving that cup of love in the way you would have hoped, but this is somebody that's at least taking a major step, something that is going to indicate a profound change in them, that something has really shifted. It might not be something where they're comfortable talking about that initially, but it does feel like they will get to that point where they're opening up more and more about what has shifted, what they have learned. With this energy too, there could be a lot of telepathy that's happening, a lot that is needing to be kind of intuited, felt into, kind of deciphered behind the words that this person is speaking. So on multiple levels, you're communicating from the heart space, from the higher self level, from the mind, from the body, and it feels that it will be a very tangible, almost this sense of kind of when they reemerge out of this silence, kind of come off from that mountain, from that pinnacle, come out from behind those walls and that castle, that this is something where it's going to activate on multiple chakras. There's going to be this alignment process that happens, to where as kind of almost this idea of like a birthing process with this person, where this is not going to be an immediate overnight shift, but the two of you almost breathing together through this process, really helping each other from the higher self level, kind of coaching this person, coaxing them out from behind that wall, behind that barrier, letting them take those small steps so that they know it is safe to take a few more steps and to open up even more deeply. This does feel like massive and profound change, very much possible in this situation. And so again, just kind of these first little glimmers, this first kind of suggestion of something new on the horizon for you, a new and more heart-centered kind of awareness to this connection, somebody who has opened up to their own heart, somebody who is really taking a chance on love, maybe for the first time in a while, or the first time in a long time. This can also be someone who is really kind of shut down after a period of heartbreak. But the connection between the two of you has really persisted. There's been kind of this energetic and etheric bond that has really helped them to get to this point where they are willing to explore that in a more tangible way. They can't really fight this feeling anymore. But it is going to be this kind of slow progress as they are almost putting like one toe in the water and kind of gradually sort of wading more and more into that space of dealing with their emotions, tapping into being able to give love, being able to receive love. So this is something where that immature energy of the page, this does have the potential for growth to it, which you are first going to be experiencing from this person in terms of communication. That's not the end of the story with it. It's almost like the first little green shoot, the little spring shoot, the first little bit of growth in what has the potential to blossom into something just really magnificent with multiple layers and aspects to it, something very solid. This is almost like the process of creating roots with this person, creating patience with this person as you allow them to kind of unfold out of their comfort zone and into this process of heart-centered awareness, which can be quite a contrast from this very logical mind that they were working with before. So it feels like actively being involved in kind of this process of balancing the head and the heart. This person taking a chance on love, even in a small way, following the call of their heart, and through the experience with you, it's helping to create that balance within them. That kind of meeting of the minds, that feeling of being comfortable, of kind of acclimating to that, learning to really express from the heart, to talk about their depth of emotions, to give love, to receive love. So a beautiful precipice to a new stage of reciprocity with this person in a way that you might not have been used to dealing with. It could be quite out of character for this person. And they're kind of, through the experience then that they are trying to embark on with you, they feel you almost as a safe space with this idea of, new birth guarded vigilantly. There's a reason that they're, of all the people and all the connections that they have had, all the people that are in their life, there's a reason that they feel inclined to kind of take this step to that heart-centered awareness with you. They feel very safe in your presence energetically. They feel very nurtured. It feels like a safe space where they will be, kind of allowed to take those gradual steps to kind of reactivate their own heart, to step into that heart-centered awareness, that heart-centered communication, and something which, will take some time to fully develop, something that it's going to take some time for them to get accustomed to, but there's a lot of potential here that through that patience, through that space of safety, and encouraging this person, kind of nudging this person, but then allowing them that time where they need to just be still and just kind of digest what has happened energetically, and just kind of seek to kind of regain that confidence and maintain that steady progress. That through all of that, there's something really beautiful, a beautiful new chapter between the both of you, a beautiful version or aspect of this person that has been largely dormant, that has the potential to arise and to be demonstrated to you almost exclusively, but then first and foremost, before that's kind of something that becomes incorporated into who they are, that becomes part of their definition of power, not just in terms of worldly success, but in terms of emotional vulnerability as well. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self for you now, group 3. Okay, and they say, I lose myself in dreams about a life together. So that ties in with this idea of really something being awakened within this person, something really has been triggered within this person. There's this yearning to move back towards you, that some kind of evolution wants to take place within them, and they're feeling this is a safe space. They're seeing you as a person that they can really unlock the potential of their heart, that they can really experience this aspect, this idea of joy that they may have seen in others around them, but had not really allowed themselves to experience. They see this connection as something where they can really kind of fill that aspect of themselves that they are recognizing has been kind of neglected or sort of pushed to the side up to this point in time. And they also say, I'm sorry I didn't have the courage to face you. So again, someone who may have really kind of equated emotions with weakness in the past. And they're really working through that. There is guardedness. There is a sense of being very unsure, very uncertain. There could even be kind of thoughts of doubt that are holding them back. Kind of their peers or their family, people that are around them, are not really resonating on that same level of heart-centered awareness that this person is being compelled toward. Through that heart-center activation, and just this overwhelming feeling of connectedness and love across distance, and kind of with the wholeness of creation. This could also be very much outside of kind of the scope and parameter of how others around them experience reality, or how they prioritize reality in relationships. And kind of when this happened, almost like this first sort of step to this that might have really caused this person to feel the connection was unsafe in some way, or something that almost with the Seven of Swords, this energy of kind of deception, almost like it's too good to be true, or it's something that would in some way kind of cost them stability in another sense if they had given more fully into you in this connection previously, or had continued to do that. These are these fears, this kind of reimagining of their worldview and their perception about emotions and relationships, that they are in the process of reimagining. They're in the process of redeveloping that. And so again, this idea of kind of one toe in the water, and then maybe just kind of pulling back a little bit, where they're still trying to work up that courage to imagine something different for themselves, to kind of open up to a new way of communication and experience than they are accustomed to. And they also say, I'm trusting the universe. Please be patient with me. So again, that idea of patience, this gradual unfolding. For a lot of you, it may just, again, start out really small, kind of some sort of an olive branch, a gesture of goodwill, something that gets the conversation started, something where you're even energetically able to perceive so much more than what this person is really saying as like the reason that they are reaching out. This is someone who's answering that call of their heart. They're following that call. They're trying to work through those fears. And it's just something it's very much outside of their comfort zone. They still, if they were operating from an energy of emotional immaturity, there's been some kind of a breakthrough, some kind of a shift, but this is someone who still has a lot of maturation to go through. And that doesn't mean that, this connection is just sort of doomed if they were to come back in, but it's something where, keeping that in mind, that you can definitely help this person through that process as much as they are maybe expressing interest in doing that, or you can help to show them the way to open up to that, encouraging those heart-to-heart conversations, really kind of seeing beyond the words that are said, respecting times where this person just needs their space and they need that time to just kind of process and to acclimate, and then being very gracious and receptive when they do reach that point of being able to give something. And this does not mean settling for breadcrumbs. This means somebody who is showing that consistent effort, but it might just be a little shaky. It's almost like it's a new terrain for them. This is a new territory for them, and so it's almost like the idea of growing pains or a learning curve. They're trying to make up for lost time, and with kind of a matching of consistency that it is following through on the words that they are speaking, even if that's kind of shaky or it's not going as rapidly as you might hope. It's something where, as long as there's kind of evolution that is happening, there's progress that is happening, then that feels like something that you also can really trust and rely on, that it's this process of being birthed out of this person, and then has the ability to be kind of created in the circumstances between you. And they also say, I want to spend my life with you. So that's that idea of the pinnacle of success this person may have reached, goals that they may have had, something shifting in that, something changing in that, this desire for companionship, this desire for love, for intimacy, for connection in a way that might be very unusual for them. It's something they hadn't prioritized previously. Maybe as they have reached some kind of period of success or a milestone period in their life, and they're looking around, and there's this sense of something having been left behind, something being missing. And perhaps as they have looked over relationships in the past, partners that they have had, people they've interacted with, something about this connection really stands out to them. They really see you from a more almost compassionate, again, this heart-centered awareness that they have. It's almost like that sense within this person has been activated, and they're able to perceive you at the soul level, able to see beyond kind of the surface circumstances, the ideas or even the projections other people might have placed, the judgments or opinions. This is someone who's then able to perceive through that and beyond that, and is sensing this resonance with you in a way that almost defies logic and is compelling them forward nonetheless, is really that invitation to utilize that heart sense, as opposed to just strictly kind of overanalyzing things. And we also have, every day I think about contacting you. So this is on their mind heavily. Now that they have had this awareness, this feels like a very determined person in a lot of other ways, somebody who is used to kind of having their eye on the prize and making consistent effort to get that. So now that this heart-centered activation has happened within them, they're able to perceive this connection from more of that subtle realm. It's almost like they're fixed on that. They are now in alignment with that. You are very much, there's this meeting of the minds, but in terms of the mind of the heart, that sensation of the heart, You're on their heart. This truth and this clarity has come through, and this is something where, you know, they're kind of they're weighing fears, they're weighing options. How can they do this? As much as there might be these other sort of things, these distractions which are coming up in their mind, or you know, other kind of circumstances in the material world, their focus is still on that. Despite all of these other things, they're persisting with that. They're acutely focused on that, on kind of this recognition of the importance of this connection and this desire to do something different, to give more, even if it's just slightly more than they were able to give previously. And they also say, I've isolated all my life. So that's a confirmation right there of somebody who has been really closed off in the heart center, somebody who you know, emotions, it's not their language, it's not their native language, it's not what they are used to communicating with. Somebody who may have been really in denial about even their own emotions, somebody who could have really you know, tried to distract from that with work, with kind of other things, kind of surface level things, sort of this quest for power and money at the expense of their own emotional needs. Somebody who may have also really kind of had workaholic tendencies, didn't make a lot of time for self-care, wasn't very tender with themselves, was very hard on themselves, didn't have a lot of examples even growing up of feelings being talked about. These things weren't taken into consideration. And it's a sense of that being a comfort zone for them. Kind of the emotional nature of this, what was stirred, what was sparked, what has been awakened, this kind of soul knowing that they had, that being very much outside of this comfort zone of kind of the lack of that, kind of a barren landscape in the heart sense, to where they might have been very triggered by that, being compelled forward and kind of pushed this connection away, pushed you away, denied the cup of love that you had to offer. But it's been something that has lingered with them nonetheless. This energetic bond has perpetuated, and this is somebody who's at this point of really facing some of these things, starting to face some of these truths, and starting to really come into this place of coming to know themselves in the ways which they may have self-sabotaged as much as they could have, you know, success in other capacities. That again, there's it's been at the expense of kind of emotional fulfillment and even knowledge of their own kind of feelings and honoring of their own feelings. So I'm going to get some guidance for you now, group 3, about the situation. And we have peace of mind. So with all of that green on this card, this is definitely that heart chakra energy. And this is really just, you know, advising you to kind of remain as calm as you can in this circumstance, with this idea of, you know, the tree of wishes and the almost forgotten wish now coming true. There can be a sense of excitement that you are feeling as this person is, you know, kind of re-emerging, re-manifesting in your life, when you'd sort of given up hope that they had changed. And it's, you know, it can be quite a welcome surprise, the ways in which they are able to tap into their emotions and express that more, receive that more readily than they had in the past. But definitely to try and not get ahead of yourself with things, allow this to unfold in a very organic pace, because as this card shows, with all of these kind of, you know, this thick vegetation here, there's a lot of overgrowth that this person is having to kind of wade through. This heart-centered awareness, feelings, this is very much unfamiliar territory for this person. This is, you know, they're going to need to explore all of this. It might even be something which really captivates them, and so they're, you know, kind of spending a lot of time just on one area and are not really progressing things forward, not out of resistance, but just out of kind of taking it in, savoring it all. So also in that vein, really savor this experience with this person, this beautiful kind of birthing energy of this more authentic and kind of higher vibration, a more vibrant version of this person, kind of facets of this person coming out into the light for the first time, new elements of their personality coming forth, things falling away only for newness to come, things that this person is discovering about themselves. They may come to you with kind of a very curious mind, a beginner's mind, a lot of zest, a lot of excitement, and then it's almost like they could get winded very quickly from just sort of overdoing it in a certain capacity. So having that, that peaceful balance, that patience, and understanding that, it's just kind of a first introductory step. There's no need to sort of rush in all at once, taking the time to really explore this, to, encourage this person to keep their heart open, being that safe space, being that peaceful place to where even when their fears get the best of them, there's this sense of constancy where then they are invited to kind of lean more into that sense of sanctuary, into where their heart is really calling them in the direction of, tapping into those emotions, feeding into that vein of love, that vibration of love, rather than kind of running from that as they may have in the past. And we also have Golden Orange Dragon, expands your light for ascension. Be a peaceful warrior. Help those in need. Remember your magnificence. So again, that energy of help, and I'm really drawn to that reference to peaceful warrior. And it's something where you definitely can help this person to sort of step into that place, that heart-centered awareness, more than they might have done previously. You definitely represent some kind of sanctuary for this person. They feel safe in your presence to explore this aspect of themselves, to bring more of this out into the light. And it's something where, also with this reference for ascension here, that kind of the first little glimmers, the first little green shoots that you might experience with this person, it's something that, it's only a prelude of more to come. That's not the entirety of it. This person seems to be in this very dynamic process of having been activated. That shift has happened. Those priorities have shifted. And then it's a process of kind of cultivating that, planting seeds, nurturing those things, allowing them to grow. Also in this card, we've got all these, the dragons holding a pen, like a feather quill, and all these sheets of paper. So that can again talk about, these bits of communication. So something written, some kind of a text message, some kind of an email, some kind of a direct message. And these little kind of bits all add up to the larger picture of consistency with this person. And definitely all kind of have this suggestion of needing to infer behind the lines, kind of read between the lines, not just rely on what it is that they're writing to you, what they're saying, but really feeling vibrationally into this, feeling that call from this person's heart, kind of those small steps as they are wading into this new sort of territory, understanding that you can be that example for them, again, that safe space to really help them in this process of, coming into being more comfortable with that heart-centered awareness, by leading through example as well. Really speaking about your feelings, speaking about your needs and your truth and your desire can help this person to do the same. With all this energy of being, a sanctuary and being helpful, again, this is not advice to allow someone to breadcrumb. Part of that help can also be, really letting this person know when your needs are not being met, if it feels that they are sort of hesitating or almost dawdling a little too much in one aspect of the connection when there's so much more to see and experience, if it feels that they're almost procrastinating a little bit, using your voice, expressing your truth, letting them know how their actions are making you feel, or bringing up those questions about what do they want, what do they mean by that, instead of just relying too much on reading between the lines, kind of pressing that, encouraging them to open up further, making those lines of dialogue kind of build into something more, can help to teach this person how to treat you, how to be in a reciprocal relationship emotionally, how to express their emotions, how to express those emotions even when they are uncomfortable, or even at times when it's uncertain how the other person will receive that. You can be a teacher to this person to honor oneself first, honor one's authentic feelings first, and in that way of honoring oneself, being capable of giving authentically to others. So I'm going to get some initials for you now, group 3. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got A, N, C, Z, B, D, U, S, and O. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry and some divination tools in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.